G'day guys, my name is Wildkard and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for supporting my content. If you want to buy me a coffee, hit the join button down below. Otherwise, let's get on with this preview. England versus the Wallabies at Twickenham 2021 Autumn Internationals. This is a huge game. This is probably the biggest game for the Wallabies in the spring tour, as the rivalry between England and Australia has always been massive ever since 2003 Rugby World Cup. I've been scarred for life. So yeah, here we go once again. And this is pretty much not looking good for the Wallabies. Sir Eddie Jones has put up quite a big pack against Australia and put out a pretty good looking lineup against Australia. And as a result of injuries in the Australian side, both tight head props for the Australian team has been ruled out due to head concussion. So Tanela Tupou and Adam Alatoa ruled out due to concussion issues. So we have two loose heads in the starting spot for the Australians. And also there has been some injuries in the back line. So Curly Beale is starting on the back line. And yeah, I am not really happy about the selections for the Australian side. Injuries aside, because Rory Arnold gets a starting spot over what's his name, Matt Phillip once again. So I don't know what's going on with the selections here in Australia. And also Sir Eddie has really studied Australian side, realizing the injuries, and really packed the backline with the bomb squad strategy. Okay, in case you don't know what it is, the bomb squad is not actually referring to any particular set of people from the Springbok side. The bomb squad refers to playing an extra forward in the back line. And England, sure enough, Sam Simmons is the sixth forward in the back line. So England's only playing two sixth forward. So England's only playing with two backs and six forwards in the back line, knowing that the Australian scrum is going to be struggling. And yeah, so this is a very, very clear issue, clear thing England's targeting. And also, everybody wanted, and we got it, Marcus Smith at 10, Owen Farrell moves to 12, and Mano Tuilangi at number 14. So maybe instead of a number 13, which is his, I guess, more, preferred position, I guess Eddie Jones may have spotted some defensive issues on the wings for the Wallabies, thus putting Mano Tuilangi there to potentially exploiting it. So they definitely want to bring the size out wide as well. So we should have a look at the exact lineup in a second. Let's have a go through some of the history and stuff. So ever since Eddie Jones took over, and England has never lost to the Wallabies again. Oh my god, I can't believe this. Sir Eddie Jones has never lost to his home country. So I am, by the way, a big Eddie Jones fan. I will never buy England jersey. I bought this to support Eddie Jones, okay? And yes, so Sir Eddie has never lost Australia. And last time Australia beat England was at Twickenham in the Rugby World Cup pool stage, eliminated England from their own World Cup. And ever since then, Eddie Jones took over. England has never lost to Australia again, with a big win over Australia in the Rugby World Cup last year. 40 points to 16. I remember Kyle Sinclair was just scored a try. It was brilliant. And Owen Farrell at 10 really opened up the game in the second half when George Ford left the field. And yeah, that was just amazing performance by England overall. So the performance from Australia overall coming in this match has been a lot of ups and downs. Got destroyed Australia by the All Blacks in the rugby in the Blood Cup series, and then in the Rugby Championship, Australia had a bit of a return to form with Quade Cooper and especially Samuel Kerevi rejoining the pack, beating the world champions in the Springboks back-to-back series, and then going on to win 3 more games in a row, and then losing to Scotland after Quade Cooper and Samuel Kerevi left Australian camp for the club rugby, and losing to Scotland with mostly disciplinary issues on and off the pitch, I would say. And also with the scrummaging issues, with head injuries. So yeah, big problem already showing for Australia due to the scrummaging as a result of Tongan Thor and Alan Anatoa being injured. But this game is going to be much tougher. England 4-pack has been quite good. So overall, the results for England for the Six Nations, not so good. But that was, earlier this year. A lot of the players were kind of out of shape due to the pandemic, especially with some of the core players playing for the Saracens that got relegated, and they were not able to play much game time during that preseason leading into the Six Nations. And England had a pretty poor time, so pretty much got dominated overall. And however, the England's, and also the England had injuries during that time. I saw like Manu Tuilangi wasn't able to play, so having those players back, having a massive reshuffle around the England camp is a massive turnaround for England. So this will be the first time England wants to show off their full strength against Australia. And with the quickly rising of Marcus Smith as well, this is a completely different side from the English side that got demolished in the Six Nations Test Series. So going into this match at Twickenham, the weather's going to be pretty good. Looks maybe a little bit wet from a bit of rain from the night before, but it should be okay at Twickenham. This will be a quite nice place to play. It will be a packed out crowd. So yeah, going into this match, as I've mentioned, the Wallabies have suffered a lot of injuries issues. Two loose head props in the starting lineup for the Wallabies. Angus Bell comes in at loose head prop. Falau Faenga'a comes in, a hooker who's been outstanding for the Wallabies. Jem Slipper moving from loose head to tight head. I don't think I've ever seen Jem Slipper playing tight head. At this point, you might as well put me in tight head, and I don't know what's going on here. So I would rather they put Jem Slipper, another like actual tight head in this spot, than Jem Slipper, so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe, I think, maybe we don't actually have another tight head, to be honest. So Jem Slipper, tight head position. He struggled a lot last week against Scotland in the tight head spot, and he struggled a lot in the loose head spot too. So this is a huge game and a massive weakness for Australia, unless they did some huge training scrummaging over the week. And otherwise, I don't see how this is going to match up well for the Australian team. Ellis Genge for the England side comes in at number 1, a relatively new player. No Mako Vinopola. He got dropped out of the England squad. Jamie George comes in number 2, and Kyle Sinclair, the menace himself, comes in at number 3, tight head prop. Oh, by the way, the England 4-pack has been favoured in the has been a lot of the England forwards play for the British and Irish Lions as well. So just to give you an idea how good these players are. So Kyle Sinclair was in the Lions team, almost didn't make it, but he was eventually got into the Lions team and had a pretty prominent feature in the Lions Test Series as well. So this is going to be, I think Angus Bell, this will be a good test for him against Kyle Sinclair. Angus Bell has done really well coming off the bench, especially against the Springboks, winning tight heads, winning loose heads rather, over the Springbok World Champions. But Kyle Sinclair is a different monster. We should see how he up against Angus Bell. I thought Kyle Sinclair in 2019 was probably the best tight head prop, but in recent times, his form has been dropping a little bit. We shall see how he performs. Ellis Genge, loose head prop against Jem Slipper. Like I said, Jems hasn't quite been in form yet. And also, at number 4 position, Mauro Itoje comes in at number 4 with Johnny Hill. The same combination they had last week against Tonga. They're up against Rory Arnold, who just been caught in the Wallabies pack 2 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's getting another start over Matt Phillip. I genuinely don't know what's going on here. I'm really disappointed with this. Isaac Rodda comes in number 5. Ever since Isaac returned to the Wallabies side, he's been really good. Despite some criticism when he first joined the team, but it's actually showed that he's very good. Very high work rate, really good around the park, very little mistakes, exactly what you want from your lock. Roy Arnold last week had an average game. I do think that maybe the scrummaging was an issue because of lock as well, because you can't just completely blame on the props for the locking. So I do think maybe the locks changing had an issue for the scrummaging. So I don't know. I honestly don't know why his game last week was pretty average. Matt Phillip performed better than him in previous games. So I don't know why he's selected over Matt Phillip again. So let me know what's going on here, guys. I genuinely don't know. And I'm quite honestly, I don't see how a team can build cohesion amongst your team, amongst your players, when you're just randomly dropping people because of people joining in the side for 2 weeks, all right? Like, there's absolutely no reason for Matt Phillip to be dropped, and you dropped him because you got someone else in here who's not even as good. It's about the same, maybe worse. Not even as good as Matt Phillip anyway. So, I don't know. This is just really poor cohesion for the team. So, I really a little bit disgusted by this decision, to be quite frank. In the loose in the loose forwards position. Courtney Lawes coming number 6, really, really good for England. He's also a third liner option for England as well. Quite good at the breakdown. A very difficult position for Wallabies to deal with. Sam Underhill, a more agile player, coming in at number 7 for England in the open side flanker. Tom Curry, the big number 8. He plays number 7 actually for the Lions, and he played number 7 for England. But Eddie Jones thinks that he's better at number 8 to give him a bit more exposure at the back lines. So again, it looks like England wants to exploit the wing position with Tom Curry, the size of Tom Curry and Malatui Langi on the wings. So there may be that Eddie Jones sees some weakness in the Australian backline to put him there as well. For the Australian backline, Rob Leota gets another nod for the blindside flanker position. He did pretty well for the Wallabies, set up for a try against Scotland, so that was very impressive. Michael Hooper at open side flanker, one of the biggest work rate for Wallabies as well. Got declined a try, but overall, Mike Hooper's performance has been pretty good, especially as a captaincy. He's really improved a lot. And again, another really massive workhorse that he's going to need to put in a huge shift this game against Courtney Lawes and Sam Underhill. Rob Valentini has been also a really good feature for the Wallabies team this year. Just big hard running, good defense, exactly what you want for the big number 8. So it's good to see how he match up with Tom Curry. Just one thing I wanted to mention before I move on to the back line. The English back forward pack is huge, right? Absolutely huge. Look, 106, 110, 113, 100. Like, they're all like almost over 110 kilos. Jamie George and Sam Underhill, only 2 guys under 110. They're absolutely humongous, right? Like, this is just me, or like this forward pack is just like Isaac Rodda, 120, but he's a lot. Like, it's just massive forward pack, especially in the back. In the loose forwards, like, these guys are massive for loose forwards, 110, 111, 113 kilos, just absolute giants in loose forwards. So maybe the mobility could be an issue for England in the loose forwards, but we shall see how that's going to play out. In the back line, Ben Youngs comes in at number 9, had a really good performance last week, and up against Nick White, also been a solid feature for Wallabies recently. Both guys are really good. So Ben Youngs, I've noticed last week that he's starting to play more of a like a director kind of rugby instead of just being. He scored like 2 tries last week. He really likes instead of previously where he just kind of like passed the ball to Owen Farrell or whoever's at the 10 or George Ford. Last week I've noticed that he has actually taken the initiative to make plays for himself, which is really good. And he set up a couple of really nice tries for England as well. So a change of pace for Ben Youngs. So really good to see. Nick White has always had a lot of flair for the Wallabies. Really good at exploiting that space around the breakdown and making really quick, sharp decisions. So really good to see. Good matchup here for the number 9 spot. At number 10, everybody's dream has come true. Marcus Smith, the future of England rugby, comes in at number 10, takes over the 10 spot over Owen Farrell. You can see how big of a deal this guy is. He came off the bench last week, and England literally went into just gigs. So last week, Owen Farrell falsely tested positive for the virus. So he wasn't able to play despite was initially penciled in to play at 10. And Marcus Smith came off the bench. So they had Henry Slade at 10 in the first half. And so Eddie Jones was still trying to keep Marcus Smith under the bonnet. So second half, Marcus Smith came on, just completely blow the game out wide. He scored a try. His kicking was 100%, and it was just spectacular. Got a standing ovation from the Twickenham crowd. It was really impressive. So Marcus Smith, huge attacking rugby, excellent kicking. Absolutely amazing player for England rugby. So I cannot wait to watch how he performs in the starting spot against a tier 1 nation, or maybe tier 2 now, of the Wallabies. And he's up against the veteran for the Wallabies, James O'Connor, the Rabbit. O'Connor had a pretty average performance last week, to be honest. He still looked really rusty. He hasn't had much game time coming back from his injury. So we shall see how he goes up against Marcus Smith. Someone, maybe James O'Connor used to be at Marcus's age at 21, 22 years of age. I think Marcus 21, 22. So James O'Connor is basically looking at someone he was used to be when he was much younger. Johnny May comes in at number 11 for England. A big guy, huge finisher again for the England side. Scored, I think, 1 try against Tonga. He's up against Tom Wright, who had an excellent game last week against Scotland. Tom Wright has been neglected a bit throughout the Rugby Championship, but finally getting back getting an opportunity for the Wallabies, and he's really proven. Last week as well, played really well for the Wallabies. Had a bit of niggling off the sideline, which was not necessary, but that's just, but yeah, it's good to see him back in the fold. And I always thought Tom Wright deserved a start for the Wallabies because of his performance for the Super Rugby Championship. Good to see him here in the number 11 jersey. Owen Farrell moves to number 12. Obviously making space for Marcus Smith. So this, what I don't really like is I don't really like Owen Farrell at 12. To be honest, Owen Farrell at 12, Owen Farrell is much better at 10 than 12. He doesn't really have that flair factor for number 12, but he's really, really, really good at decision making at number 10. So Owen Farrell at 12, he's not going to make that huge line breaks. He's going to try and make those, dominant tackles, and we know those high shots coming in sometimes maybe a bit of danger issue for him. But Owen Farrell overall at 12, I don't really like. And so maybe if Eddie Jones wants him at 12, they really want him to play. I think Eddie Jones should, instead of, it's like they've told him to play 12, but to play like Sonny Bill Williams, right? Which he's not. But maybe Eddie Jones want him. So I think Eddie Jones should tell him to play like he is a 10. So as a second 5A option, I think Owen Farrell will be much better. So it really just comes down to the style issue. The way he plays, much better at 10. So they should just play him as a second 5A instead of trying to pigeonhole him as a traditional 12 role. And the number 13, Henry Slade, gets another nod over the outside centre spot over Malo Tuilangi. So I thought Tuilangi would be better at 13 because Farrell and Tuilangi 12-13 combination, it was something that was pretty successful for England, especially for the Rugby World Cup. So interesting to see that. Henry Slade stays at number 13. For the Wallaby side, Hunter Paisami, Len Nikitau, the 12-13 combo. Hunter Paisami came back, big heart running, big heart hitting, exactly what you want. Len Nikitau has been really, really good for the Wallabies, setting up for tries. Pretty good kicking game as well with Len Nikitau. An additional kicking option in the outside center position, and also Len Nikitau is really, really good finisher for the Wallabies. In the wing position, Malo Tuilangi, like we mentioned, packing a lot of size, 110 kilos on the wing, up against Andrew Callaway. Also a pretty big boy, 106 kilos in the blindside wing position. So Andrew Callaway has really developed a lot for the Wallabies, becoming the premier winger basically for the Wallaby side. And Malo Tuilangi, I'm not sure, I don't remember him ever playing wing before, to be honest. You let me know from England's side, is this the first time he's played wing for England? I'm pretty sure he's always played center. Maybe my memory doesn't go far enough to remember him correctly, but let me know if he's played wing before. But on the blindside wing, Malo Tuilangi, maybe there's some kind of defensive weakness Eddie Jones wants to explore in the backline. Freddie Stewart comes in number 15 once again, and Curly Beale, due to injuries, gets a starting spot at number 15. Curly Beale had a bit of a shocking return last week, got held up in Iraq in a 5-minute coming off the bench, so definitely got to polish that up a little bit. So England, like I mentioned in the introduction, has opted for the bomb squad, 6 forwards, 2 backs, and they really recognize the lack of, I guess, the injury issues in the Wallaby side. They really wanted to blow that set piece out of the water in the second half against the Wallabies. So Jamie Blair, Bevan Rudd, and Will Stewart comes in for England in the front row position. Bevan Rudd comes in for Joe Marler, who tested positive. No false positive this time. They double checked him, so he's definitely out. And they're up against Tulu Latu, who's been called in for the Wallaby side. Tom Robinson gets called in at number 17 at the loose head prop position, and Ollie Hoskins making a debut for the Wallabies, who's been one of those overseas players since for a long time now. He's played for Australia in the under-20s, so he never actually played for the Wallabies before moving overseas. At number 19 position, Charlie Eales comes in for England, number 19. Alex Lombard comes in at number 20 for England. For Australia, Will Skelton, the big man, comes in at number 19. P. Samu, 20. P. Samu has been a really good finisher for the Wallabies. Will Skelton coming off the bench last week was average. I don't know why he's selected. Again, I'm pretty disappointed to not see Matt Phillip here or anybody else, to be quite frank. So number 21, Sam Simmons. He was dropped from England like earlier this week, and then maybe due to some injury issues, he's called back into the pack, and now he's getting at the number 21 spot as the bomb squad member for the 21, making the sixth forward on the bench. And Sam Simmons has been widely talked about in English media as probably one of the best number 8s for England, and he wasn't selected for the England Six Nations, and then Eddie Jones got massively criticized, and then he got selected again, and he got dropped, and then he's back again. So Sam Simmons is back again, and he's been yeah, we shall see how he goes for Eddie Jones. This is the chance for him to prove to Eddie Jones that he deserves this spot, especially with the bomb squad strategy. Maybe something that he can show some specialties there. Tate McDermott comes in at number 9 spot for the Wallabies at 21. Really good season for Tate McDermott so far. Rafi Quirk comes in at number 22, debuting for England. Noah Lolosio is back for the Wallabies for the number 10 spot reserve. Lolosio has had a bit of shocker against the New Zealanders, and hopefully with a bit of time off, he's recovered a bit and being able to get himself back on his feet. Look forward to seeing him perform this week. Max Malins comes in number 23 for England, and Isaiah Peresi had a really, really good debut last week coming off the bench, just making line breaks, good defensives. Overall, quite impressive coming off the bench. I look forward to seeing him more game time this week against England. So yeah, let me know what you think, guys. This is looking pretty grim for Australia. Sir Eddie Jones looks like really done his homework and wants to put Australia in the bin with the extra member in the bench, the bomb squad on the bench for England. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, let me know your predictions. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, thank you for watching this video, guys. I'll see you guys a bit later this week for the review for this match. Cheers.